Welcome to Colorful Journeys of Success. Claire Mullen, producer, host, and author of Color Wheeling for Success, explores with her guests the stages of success in their lives. This show highlights leaders, teachers, coaches, mentors, and even parents who are role models who help change our world. How have you succeeded, and who was your teacher and inspiration? Now, who are the people you teach and inspire? Listen to and watch our fascinating guests as they share colorful stories of success and how they help inspire. Now, here's Claire, the color wheeling lady and our host.
Welcome to Colorful Journey of Success. I'm so glad that you joined us because we have an exciting guest. Very impressive, very, very impressive. He's an engineer by training. Well, anyway, I'm going to have him talk, and not only do we have that, we have a delightful person to have. You know, Mel is another producer, and he's going to be calling. So, anyway, Jari, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, well, I'm so impressed with what you said. You know, technical. When you said the word technical, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's. But you have really, with your book, it's so impressive.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So, just out of curiosity, when you were a little boy, did you ever see yourself as an author?
No, actually not at all. I saw myself as an engineer. So my dad's an engineer, and you know, I loved to tinker with things as a little kid, and we would take stuff apart and put it back together, and you know, all that fun stuff. So no, never thought, oh, I want to write a book. But
and your tinkering was more or less frustration-free?
Well, no. I mean, when you're a little kid, you tend to explore. So there's lots of times where I got, you know, electrocuted and cut myself. But thankfully, nothing, no permanent brain damage that I know of. But yeah, so.
Okay.
But there was no intimation of what you might be facing later on.
No, not really. I mean, I was always curious about how things worked. And more so just, you know, taking things apart and, oh, what does that thing do? What does that thing do? And so that was a natural for me to get into engineering. And like I said, my dad was an engineer, so it was sort of like, you know, pushed into the family business, I guess.
Well, and this is your first book.
Yeah, so that's the...
This is the first book.
The first edition, wrote that in 2009.
Frustration-Free Technical Management.
Yes.
Interesting page, a cover.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting cover. In fact, maybe we could show that if...
We're hanging on by a thread here.
Yeah, that was the sort of intent I wanted, that, you know, this book was for someone who was on their last leg, their last little thread of sanity. And my thought was, hey, I'll try to help you out to kind of alleviate some of those frustrations that, you know, anyone that innovates, or anyone actually that's creative for that matter, as we were talking about a little bit before, creativity and innovation always has some frustrations, and what you need to do as an innovator or even an artist is to just work through those. And if you can have some tools and techniques to have that frustration level go down a little bit, then you can start to really create wonderful things and have fun at it. I mean, you know, most people have fun doing things, but the challenge has always been, oh, you know, God, I can't get past this barrier. I can't another meeting or another feature set change, and those frustrations really wear on people.
So for you, how did this sense of frustration reach the point where you felt you had to write a book about it?
Well, early in my career, I did the classic thing that all engineers do. I just worked way too much. You know, it was common 50, 60, 70-hour work weeks because I just wanted to change the world, you know, and I really
That's rough.
Yeah, it is.
That is rough.
And that's I would say, an epidemic in the technical fields, where there's a lot of people that work extremely hard, and it just, you can just see the look in their eyes, like, I just don't know what else to do except work hard. And a lot of that working hard is not working smart. And so what I decided was, like, you know, there's got to be a better way to deal with this. I mean, of course, everyone wants to work hard and sometimes you need to work hard. Don't get me wrong about that. But there's things that you can do that's going to alleviate that amount of frustration for all the hard work you're doing, or eliminate some of the busy work or the work that's like, God, do we really need to do this? And so that sort of prompted me to say, hey, you know, I should write some of these thoughts down and talk to some of the people that I work with, and do a little research and say, hey, you know, is there a better way? Because I always, you know, I'm an engineer by nature, right? So I just like to, I'm kind of lazy. You know, engineers are lazy in one sense.
Are you saying that maybe there's a way of achieving the same result and working less?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I would say I couldn't put a percentage on it, but there's a lot of wasted time, effort, and frustration in things that add zero value to a product or an innovation. And a lot of that stems from poor management. An example would be a technical manager that's doing technical work and managing people, which is absolute #1 no-no, because management's a full-time job. You can't do that part-time and then innovate on the side. Now, that's a huge struggle for most technical people, because they have this, I want to be technically relevant, yet I'm managing people, and this struggle can consume them. And a lot of the wasted effort is that struggle plays itself out.
Yeah. You know, I don't know what technical management is. What does that mean?
So a technical manager is anyone that manages someone in a technical field. So an engineer, scientist, biologist, physicist, where you have to have a level of technical expertise or have gotten a degree in engineering or what have you, so that you actually understand what they're doing. It's different from general management in one sense, that the level of knowledge is a bit higher. And also the level of involvement may be significantly higher in terms of, you know, product definition.
Yeah, but if you're managing people, managing people who have a vision of what they want to create, then wouldn't a manager be a threat to that?
Well, I wouldn't say a threat. So innovators and visionaries have the idea. And it's a long way from the lab to launching it into the product, into the world. I mean, it's a huge gap. I mean, and a lot of those innovative guys, a lot of those visionaries, they don't have the wherewithal to bring it from the lab into a launched product. So they need technical managers. They need people that are going to pull together a group of people that can move a product forward, and that's a special skill set.
Now, in your book, you were talking about that you had certain patents. Why don't you share with us your patents and describe and anyone?
Some of them.
Yes.
So I have about 10 total. A lot of them have to do with electronics. So semiconductor fabrication, little tiny radios, systems to monitor and track certain things with what's called RFID technology. A lot of things related to how to optimize like a circuit, a semiconductor circuit, which I know most people probably don't know. But if you have a computer, that's a semiconductor, you know, microprocessed semiconductor. So those types of things. So I mean, it's just part of the
technical to me.
It's very, very technical. Yeah, very, very technical.
Jerry, at the beginning of your book, why are we so frustrated? Let me just read 3 sentences. Survey after survey shows that 65 to 75% of people rate their boss or manager as the worst aspect of their job. This feeling seems to stem from the fact that those same people felt that their bosses are incompetent. Well, if you think your boss is incompetent, then where do we go from there?
Well, I mean, so yeah, I mean, that's a pretty loaded statement. But,
no kidding.
Incompetency has many levels, and when you're a technical person knee-deep in a problem or a bug, your whole world is focused on solving this specific problem. You really don't know what's really going on in the rest of the company, or maybe even the rest of the group. And so as your boss starts to tell you certain things, oh, why aren't you doing it this way? Why aren't you do that way? That's not a priority. This is not a priority. You're like, do you even understand what I'm doing? So the first step is, oh, well, they don't even know what I do. And to be honest, most managers don't know what people do. I mean, you cannot 24/7 know what your employee's doing. So they tend to say, oh, he's just a manager. He's curly-haired boss. He's just doesn't know what he's talking about. He's incompetent at that level. And then the other thing is that a lot of people just don't understand why managers make certain decisions. And a lot of the technical people are solely based on a very quantitative approach. Hey, the number's this, we should do this. Whereas management's a lot of qualitative, a lot of gut, a lot of feeling, a lot of, I got 50% of the data, I could go one way or the other. I need to make a decision because, well, you know, if I don't make a decision, we're not going to move forward. So especially technical people that have a high degree of skill in a specific thing like software or, you know, semiconductors, they don't understand how these decisions are made from management, and therefore, they're incompetent. They tend, now, that doesn't mean that they're incompetent. It just means that that's their opinion, that they're incompetent. But that's a big part of it. Big part of the frustration of, well, I don't know why my boss makes these decisions. And then technical managers, sometimes they can't convey, well, I don't know why I made that decision. They told me upstairs to make that decision or something like that.
So what's the solution to the problem?
Well, I think the solution is to really take technical management seriously. A lot of the time, people in the technology field, they think management's a waste of time. They don't see it as adding any value. They see it as a net distractor or distraction. And I really don't think that's the right approach. I mean, management is a vital part of any organization, and especially in the technical field. And we should really take it more serious. And that means that we need to have more systematic training. We need to be a little more open to that's actually a real job and not just something you do on the side as you type your code, and really be aware that it's a major factor in not only work satisfaction but in overall productivity.
Interesting. So what is the difference between your first book and your second book?
Well, there's a lot. As you notice, it's about 30% bigger.
Yes, I did notice that.
So there's a lot of additional thoughts and experiences and stories over the last 5 years that I've accumulated. Also added a lot of content related to, why are we so frustrated, and some introductions on each of the POEMS process, which is the kind of the framework that I use to manage people. And so POEMS, yeah.
Well, what does that mean?
And personal, organizational, emotional, managerial, and sustaining. So those are the 5 kind of pillars of frustration-free technical management.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, 30% more content. Had a lot of other people look at it, give me some ideas, and a lot of the feedback I got from the first book I rolled into the second book. So.
After you finished the first book, was there one thing that really motivated you to write a second that you omitted in the first? Yeah,
a lot of feedback I got was, well, I'm not really sure how to use this book. I mean, the way it's organized. Well, I mean, the way it's organized. Well, yeah. Okay. So the way it's organized is there's a frustration and a solution. So it kind of has a rhythm. Okay, this frustration, this solution. So it's not meant to be read cover to cover. I mean, it's really more like a reference. So, I'm frustrated that my boss is incompetent. Okay, boss is incompetent. I'll look at that. And so it really is more of a reference guide. It's like, I have a problem. I need some thoughts on, this is how I should handle this problem. So that was the first one. It's like, maybe you should explain a little more how to use this one. And then the second was just a lot more experience and a lot more fun doing, innovation and some of those frustrations. So
Yes. Yeah. It's like climbing that ladder.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But now you mentioned something about a company. Why don't you talk about the company?
Sure.
That was Ion Torrent?
Ion Torrent, yeah. So one of the inspirations to rewrite the book was my experience at Ion Torrent, which was my first foray into biotech. Usually, traditionally, I've been in, chips and radio stuff and all the like really technical thing. Well, this is the first time I actually went to a biotech company, which I don't know anything about biotech other than
well, I
DNA.
don't either.
Well, yeah, I think I didn't know very much, but Ion Torrent was a startup that was doing some really revolutionary things in the DNA sequencing arena. And they were doing what's called second-generation DNA sequencing using semiconductors, which was so happens to be what I was trained to do. And so going to Ion Torrent was just this whole other world of technology and innovation that I had no idea about. And biology is a whole different beast, for lack of a better word. I mean, they're just such at its infancy of the amount of huge potential that biotech has for us.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's just going to explode.
Yes.
And a lot of the frustrations that they had stemmed from, well, we kind of don't know exactly what may be happening, or how do we, frame this particular experiment, or we don't even know what the chip semiconductor guys are even. We don't even know what those guys even do. What do you do again? And so that company was successful. It actually got bought by Life Technologies, so we had this really great success. It got launched in the marketplace, and people use it to cure disease and sequence rare disease and find out all sorts of really fascinating, interesting things. And so that experience was the wow. I mean, how what I did in the semiconductor business and my own technological innovation, how that transitioned over to biotech was really
the
remarkable.
Sciences.
Yeah, the sciences. I'm like, wow, this is just really great. I should.
And DNA?
And DNA, yeah. I mean, that's just, it's amazing what that's done.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely interesting.
Yeah.
And, what do you think? Now, if you were going to read this book, how do you think your life would change?
Well,
or maybe I should ask him, how do you think his life?
Yeah, how would my life change? Actually, I'm not involved in anything technical. I'm more my main interest is near-death experiences and what people learn from that. And that takes you totally out of the three-dimensional realm and into a realm where there are no words to describe that, because the brain works in three-dimensional concepts. And apparently, when you move beyond that, there are no words to really explain what you're doing.
You should be writing a book.
No, it's the one thing I don't want to do. All these near-death experiences are writing books. I do not want to be a person to write a book. Yeah. But anyway, so you went into I'm interested in your experience of the new when you went into this DNA sequencing.
Yes.
What stood out about what you had to learn about that? What amazed you?
Well, it was just all the biological reactions that happen in our body that we pretty much take for granted. And it's just how DNA works and how it unwinds and how it incorporates, and all the variables that play into this biological process that they're trying to reproduce in the lab, and getting, success, but then why does this not work? Why does this not work? Why is that happening? Why, why
lots of questions. Huh?
Yeah, lots of questions. And I mean, these are really smart, dedicated people that were struggling with the frustrations of, is it this, is it that, is it the water, is it the chip, is it, I mean, all these things that, I'm like, wow, well, you guys got a lot harder job than I do. I mean, I have physics on my side, For me, it's physics. It's like, oh yeah, easy, physics, it's been proven. Biology's a little bit different. They sometimes don't understand why things work the way they work, and
more complicated.
A lot more complicated, yeah.
Yes.
So were you involved in sequencing the DNA? Or?
No, I just was in charge of manufacturing the little semiconductor chip that the DNA got squirted on, literally squirted on.
How do you do that? How do you come up with a chip that references DNA? I don't understand.
Well, it's a whole process that they go through, and some of it's proprietary, so I can't really get into all of it. But let's just say that they take some DNA and they prep it to get it ready to be sequenced. They stick it on a chip, a sequencing chip, and then they put it in a machine. Then the machine does some stuff to it, which is the secret sauce. And as time goes on, the reactions inside the chip get read, and then that gets reported back to the scientists.
How in the world would you manage a meeting where a group of people are getting together talking about this?
Yeah, well, that's really frustrating, because in biotech, the number of disciplines involved are vast. I mean, you have biologists, you have chemists, you have mechanical engineers, you have surface chemists, you have software guys, you have electrical engineers. And you put them all in a room, and it's like it's the Tower of Babel. I mean, no one. You're like, what does that mean, huh? What homopolymer? Well, I don't even know what the heck that means. So, a lot of the frustration and a lot of the education is what are the terms? I mean, I first got there, I didn't even know what a MER was. I mean, I don't know what that is. So
what is it?
It's it's an incorporation event in DNA. So it's one incorporation of a DNA strand. One of the.
So what was an example of frustration in this environment?
Well, so we would have meetings where we would try to figure out we did an experiment and something went wrong, and a lot of times what happens is, and I touch on it a little bit in the book, is that people tend to blame what they don't understand. And so we had kind of this going, like, oh, it's engineering's fault, oh, it's biology's fault, it's chemistry's fault, it's sensors' fault. And so you get this whole, like, oh, well, it's got to be you because I don't understand you. Essentially, they don't come out and say that, but it's
like everybody's pointing the finger to somebody else, right?
Exactly. And so the real challenge when you have to manage that kind of thing is that you all have to have a baseline understanding of, okay, what are we talking about? What's the real issue? What are some of the parameters that we need to discuss so that we can move past the blame game and on to like really solving this problem? Because look, we're all smart people. I mean, I'm sure it's a combination of all of us. It's not that one person screwed up or another person screwed up. So that was what I found to be one of the biggest challenges, and actually one of the biggest, I would say, joys of a job like that is because when you finally start to understand this stuff, you really say, wow, man, this is really one, important, and two, man, it's pretty complicated. And you have a new appreciation for all these other disciplines. And so these disciplines, again, are very wide and very broad, and you start to learn all these just wonderful things. You're like, I never would have known that. So.
Well, you have so much to say. I'm just kind of like sitting here really amazed.
Oh, thank you. Thank
we
you so
have
much.
about 5 minutes to go, and so let's kind of wrap this up and give us kind of like a summary real quick. And what have we missed in this interview? Because it's very, very important.
Okay.
Thanks, Claire. That's the perfect question.
Well, I just would, like everyone to know that, the second edition of the book is out. It's frustration-free.
Might as well just hold that up.
Frustration-free.
Hold it like that.
Technical management.
There you go.
It's my experiences and the experience of other people that I know in managing technical projects. And I would like, if you have frustrations in that particular realm, check it out. I'd really appreciate that. But more importantly, you're not alone in the frustrations that you share. And a lot of times just being able to talk with others about, man, did I really get that right? This doesn't make any sense. And oh, yeah, you're right. Makes you feel a lot
You
better.
also have a blog.
Yes.
So talk about your blog.
So the blog is thedailymba.com. And then there I talk a lot about management and innovation and entrepreneurship. And so that's sort of my other kind of avenue for creativity and getting some ideas out there, and just been very successful with it. A lot of people like to read it.
Okay.
It's really great.
Very good. And, if we were to have a second show, what do you think you'd be focusing on?
Wow. That's a really good question. I would say probably a little bit more of the process of how to become frustration-free. What are some of the key takeaways? I mean, there's a lot that you can cover, and you can't really cover it in a half an hour, obviously. But just touching a little bit on how management is a lot like how you manage your life, and a lot of the same frustrations in your life, they ripple back and forth between your job. And so if you can kind of contain that and have some really good processes to get that and get that under control. And management, like anything, is a process. So.
And there's one question that I always ask the guests at the end of the show. I'll ask you too.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm unprepared for this.
Give us a wow, word of wisdom. And it's like just maybe two or three words of phrase or whatever to leave with our audience, and give us a wow.
Well, I would say always focus on the task at hand. Just don't sit there.
Only
and
get
pound
3
sand.
words.
Oh, only get 3 words. Focus on the task at hand. Then.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
How about you? How about giving us a wow?
The new life you want always begins in the present.
That sounds good.
I like that one.
Wow, I'm impressed with these 2 gentlemen, wonderful gentlemen, handsome gentlemen.
Oh.
But anyway, Colorful Journeys is all about helping other people succeed.
Right.
It really is. Not only have you been sharing your success story, but it's also helping other people succeed. And it's very important, colorful journey of success. We're all on a journey, right?
Yeah.
We are all on a journey. And the more we can help other people with what we learn, with what our knowledge, and this is exactly what you're doing with the 2 books. And I'm looking forward to your 3rd book, of course.
Oh, yes, yes. We'll see.
Maybe do a screenplay?
Oh, I don't know about that. That would be really challenging.
Oh, okay. All right. And how about like that? Do you like that?
What?
Yeah, the whole...
Well, there's so much in here. He covers,
it really is.
Yeah, really a lot that I feel somehow inadequate with just a half hour. But we've covered a lot, and if the public wants to learn more, get the book. There's a lot in here.
Yeah, no
Thank
kidding.
you so much.
No
Thank you.
kidding. Wow. And I love this. Wow. Frustration-free technical management.
And the cover even goes with your blouse.
Oh.
I definitely.
Well,
I totally planned it that way.
I had this vision before I was getting dressed. I'm thinking, let's see, what color should I wear? And I had this vision of your book.
That's great.
So, yes, absolutely fantastic. So, well, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
I'm
Thank you
sure
again.
you're going to help a lot of people.
I hope so. I hope so.
And
yeah.
I'm really thrilled that you came to Colorful Journey of Success. And
Well, appreciate you having me. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
well, good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Jari Bolander.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you so much.
And
Thanks, Jari.
Mel, my dear friend Mel, thank you so much for joining us.
It was a pleasure to be asked at the last minute.
Okay. Yeah.
You did awesome. What do you mean?
Yeah,
You did good. He's
great
natural.
questions. Great questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, think about any ideas that you can.
Okay.
Okay, well, I probably should. Anyway, there's a lot of people that would like to join the Colorful Journey of Success. And I would love to talk to you if you happen to have any ideas. If you have a book that you'd like to talk about, I'd love to talk with you and put you on the show. And especially if you have a success story and you're helping other people succeed. So, welcome to Colorful Journey of Success. And bye for now.